What's up, guys? We got a Kia Sportage up in here. This guy's like, man, I ain't got money. Just slap some pads on this grinding rotor, right? He bought the cheapest pads he could find, brought them in. No new hardware with the cheap pads. Guess what? He's getting a rotor anyways. Don't tell him. So we'll start with the rear brakes, and then we'll move on to the front. So if you just need the front, just skip forward. We got a 13mm socket on the back of these caliper bolts. We're looking at the back angle from the inside angle of the caliper. So we'll go ahead, just crack these free. They come right out. If they keep spinning, put a little wrench on the inside there. Looks like a 17, 18, something like that. But they usually don't spin on you. The hardware. All right, so we're going to kick this caliper out of here, the one that's grinding. Ooh. Let's hang that caliper up. Look at this. Look how rusty this guy is right there. Just like flaking off. And we're grinding on that pad. So we got plenty of pad on the other side. I think this is a classic case of brake pad getting seized in and wearing right down. See, is that a good angle? Good enough, right? All right, so we gotta change this rotor. Something tricky is they buried a bolt behind this lateral arm. Kind of stupid, right? All right, we got metal pistons. Oh my God, look at that. Rust, rust, rust. Now, something about these pads is if they're rusty on the mounting bracket, they will not fit in easy. They'll be way too tight. And that's gonna lead you to a grinding rotor like this. Oh, where's my little tool at? Here it is. We got the metal piston, so I'm not afraid of hurting it with the big jaws. See if we can get a grip here. Woo. I don't like to let them hang, but I need to get a grip here. It's not that heavy of a caliper. All right, it's pushing in nice and easy. That was super easy. All right, so no damage to the caliper. Now what we just did was push the brake fluid back up through the hose, so we're gonna wanna bleed it later. Get that heated up, nasty brake fluid out. All right, he didn't give me any new hardware, so we're gonna save this hardware. First thing I'm gonna do is make sure these sliders are nice and free. That one's nice and free. We're gonna put some, I like Cell Glide, high temp, silicone based brake grease. Wipe this slider off. It looks nice and clean. I don't need to wire wheel it. Put some new grease in there. There we go, so our caliper's prepped. We get our sliders prepped. See, this slider is in there. It doesn't want to come out. It is moving a little bit though. So it's not frozen in there. Let's see if we can pull it out. Yeah. That's tough. That's tough. How about a little taparoo? Oh, there she goes. Fell on the floor. So this one is full of rust. I'm gonna take it to my wire wheel real quick and clean it off. It's shiny again. There's going to be a little rubber sleeve on the top one, so don't mix and match these slide hardware bolts up. This one is got some junk in it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to clean off this rubber piece here. Just pulled a bunch of junk out with it. There we go. I put it in there, pulled it back out, and I had a couple globs on it. Now it's spinning nice and free. Super. Alright. We gotta get that mounting bracket out of there. We got a 14mm on these. Let's grab our 14. Break the top one free. Don't run off on me, socket. Let's see if it'll slide over for us. No, it won't. Not at all. There we go. Yeah, see, now we got to see if we can get something in that other one. So we got our 14mm wrench. Is this one smaller than 14? It just might be, guys. We've only got this small little peek hole to look at it from. I mean, with that arm in the way, you know. No, I think it's a 14. You can't get on it, which is really dumb. Yeah, you can't get on it. So, let's grab some tools. Let's get this arm out of the way. We've got, what's that look like? About a 19-ish, something like that. Alright, we got the air hose, the air gun, just to make the job easier. Try to zip this dude off. Alright, what do we got there? There's a 19. 19 fits on there perfectly. Oh my god, socket, stop falling on me. You're ridiculous. Nothing else wants to fall but that one socket. We're on reverse. Here we go. Nut is off. Now we probably want to work it with a ratchet from the other side. We got a 19 ratcheting wrench. And a hammer. See if we can get this guy to loosen up out of its grooves. Oh yeah. And this is got this little cone at the end, so you can hit it with a hammer. As long as you don't have to pound too much, you're good to go. Now that it's backed out, I'll use a screwdriver. Keep tapping on the head. And we have hit the shock. Like, why would they do this? Why would they do this? We'll just keep on smacking it. Let's see what we can do here. Yeah, it's still in there. Let's see if we can bypass this shock with angle. Getting kind of like angly on it so we can get past the shock. It's going. Angle the other way. All right, bolts out. Stupid. All right, now our arm is loose. Whoa, where do we want to go? We want to go up or down with it? Make a decision. There we go. Up is better. For sure. Now we're going to want to get our thinnest walled 14. So I'm using a 3/8 drive, a little thinner wall. Deep well, get past those ears. Or use an extender. Honestly, we still need a short extender. All right, little stubby extender. And we'll finally be able to get this bolt out. There we go. It broke free nice and easy despite all the rust. The bolts on this vehicle are coming right out, which is a bonus. Didn't expect that. I don't think these brake pads and rotors and calipers are made for Michigan weather. All the salt and snow. Everything looks pretty clean on the body. It's just the brake pads. What the heck, man? Now, bada boom, we got it out. Next phase, let's get this rotor off. It looks like it's already coming off by hand. We don't need to hammer it. Yep. Because we were replacing the rotor, look, he just wanted me to slap pads on that grindage and on all this nastiness. Come on, man. He's getting a rotor. I don't care. On the house. All right. The hub looks nice and clean. We don't need to clean it off. We got our rotor over here. Let's grab that doohickey. We gotta open up our pads. Make sure you give these rotors a little spray down. Get that shipping oil off of them. And we're gonna transfer over the little rubber peak hole in the old rotor. It should just pop out of there really easily. You might need a screwdriver, but I just popped this one right out. Good to go. Check this caliper out. It's so rusty. Let me knock this rust off from the center of the caliper. There we go. Put a little grease on there, help that seal out, keep these ears from rusting in the future. Just where they're gonna hit the backing pad of the new pads. Go. Perfect. Rotor's on there, and there's room for a set screw in here, but it looks like somebody's taken it out in the past, so we didn't have to worry about the set screw on the rotor. Kind of like keeps the rotor in. All right, we're golden now. It's time to clean up our mounting bracket. Now these pads will get super tight in that bracket. We'll see where the ears are, and where this flat spot is, and this flat spot. And it's so rusty, I'm gonna take my Dremel tool to it and clean all the rust off of where this hardware sits. And then I'm gonna take a little wire wheel on my Dremel tool and clean up this old hardware where the rust is built up into it, because that'll tighten the pads in. So you can't take the pads out. They are rusted right in there. I'm gonna have to hammer them out. And So this needs to be cleaned up really well. I've got my mounting bracket all cleaned up with the pads put inside of it. There's a squealer tab. We put that in the top inside pad. And now we just slide it over the new rotor. I've got these 14mm bolts to line up from the back. Here's one. See if we can get the other one lined up here. There we go. I'm gonna tighten them down real good. Should be in there nice and tight. Nice and tight. Calipers in my way. There we go. Perfect. Get this guy out of the way and get our arm back in here. If we can. Oh, there's a lot of pressure. So the knuckle needs to come outwards. I'll grab a little bar. See if I can knock this guy back into place. Maybe if I come from the bottom, because the pressure's upwards. Yep, swivel it over to the bottom. That's the way to do it. Get that hole lined up. All right, we still got to come out with the bar a little bit. That's okay. This caliper out of here. We got to get past this shock. Now this is probably going to be a little trickier than taking it out, you know. We got to push back on this to get it to line up. That bolt doesn't really want to start for us. Because of that shock. So we'll see if we can find a way to tap it from this angle. It's barely rubbing on the shock. Yep, we can get it that way. Just need a nice screwdriver. There's a little slot you can fit a screwdriver through. If I had 3 hands, this would be a lot easier. Here we go. I lined it up with my screwdriver from the outside. or the back side. And I think we're started. Looks like we're started in there. It's getting there. So rub it. It's gonna rub the shock the whole way. Nope, not the whole way. Kind of just bypassed it and got through. Sweet. There we go. All the way through. So now we can tighten this doohickey up. Beautiful. I'm just gonna hit it with the old impact. It'll probably spin. I'll probably have to hold it with a wrench from the other side. Yep. Get that big old wrench. Put it on the inside. There we go, we're nice and tight. Perfect. Now, we can put our caliper, we're gonna squeeze the pads together onto the rotor, make sure the rotor's flush, put the caliper over it, press in on our sliders here, so the ears can line up with the hole, and start our bolts in. You're gonna make sure these are nice and tight, but don't over torque so you snap them off. They're pretty thin bolts. Nice and tight. That's what we're going for. All right, 13 mil. Or was that a 14 mil? I'm all confused now. I'm pretty sure it's a 13. Yeah, maybe it was the 14 the whole time. Losing my train of thought. There we go. Nice and tight. All right, rear brake's done. Kind of stupid having this arm right here, but it is what it is. Brakes and rotor's done. Time to move on to the front. All right, we're on to the front brakes. Try to keep this simple. The rotors aren't ground up or rusted up like the rears. We'll take our 14 mil. Loosen both of these suckers up. After loosening them, they come out by hand. Sweet. Grab our screwdriver and try to pry this guy off of there. Get on the back of the pad a little. Squish that caliper. There we go. Well, this caliper doesn't go all the way flush with itself when you compress it. See if I can get it to cooperate with me here. Once again, we have metal calipers, not that composite stuff that'll break if you put clamps on it. Give it a go. Oh, looks like it's going about flush with the caliper, the piston. There we go. Got her squeezed in there. That means it's 6 o'clock, boys. All right, so this one, we are not taking the rotor off. It's easier to clean the mounting bracket with the mounting bracket off. We're not taking the rotor off. I don't know what I said. Anyways, Hang this caliper up somewhere safe. Just tuck it back there. Not as rusty as the backs. As far as the hardware goes, try to peel these out without gouging the rotor at all. Because we're reusing this rotor. There we go, there's one pad out. Perfect. Another pad out. Clean up our sliders. These ones aren't seized in there, cool. Clean that old grease off. And in with the new grease. Put a little dab there around the boot. Smear some nice fresh grease on here. This one just wants to fly right out of there and not attach to its boot. That's not cool. Get in there, buddy. There we go. Go in your home. This one's a little tackier, but doesn't need a wire wheeling. The slides are in, cleaned up, greased up. And we're gonna pop this old hardware out. Be careful not to bend it if you're reusing it. You should always replace the hardware. This guy's going cheap though. I'm being careful not to bend it. It is kind of rusted in there. Careful not to bend. Pop that one out. We're pretty rusty on these tabs. Let's get that cleaned off. I'm gonna use my Dremel tool to get in there. So it's a lot easier to clean these off with the bracket off. You know, it is what it is. Let's clean them. You just see the rust flying off of them. We've got the mounting bracket all cleaned up. And then I put a wire wheel attachment on my Dremel and cleaned up all the contact spots wherever the hardware is gonna touch the mounting bracket or the pads. Got those spots shiny. We'll start off with the inside pad. It's gonna have a little squealer tab on it, possibly. It's gonna go in the top back. I'm gonna fit it into the top first, and then into the bottom. You got these little tabs on the inside that can hang you up. You might have to press them forward a little bit or use the pad to press them forward. Went in nice and smooth. The pads are sitting just how they're supposed to, not too tight like they were before because all that rust buildup. Gonna fit this guy in. And I put the bottom in first. Usually it makes it easier if you put the top in first. It's just the way she goes. There we go. Had to press down on this hardware because it wanted to lift up on me. There we go. Now we got the pads in. Everything's cleaned up. Everywhere that's supposed to be greased is greased. Now we gotta press these in so that the caliper fits in where it should. There we go. Perfect. We got our caliper bolts here. Get them to line up. Go that one started. This one started. These are thin bolts, so don't over torque and snap them in off in there. See, it's spinning on me. That little hex on the slide hardware for the caliper. I'm using my finger to keep it still. There we go, nice and tight. Sometimes you gotta put a wrench on it, but this one I just had to hold it with my finger to get it to stop spinning. There we go. Now we're going to prime the brake pedal. Hit the brake pedal in slowly, like 5 times, release slowly, and then press it another 5 times or whatever till it gets tight. And that caliper's gonna press those pads together. Then we're gonna give it a brake bleeding, throw the tires back on, and we'll be good to go. A lot of extras for this guy. He wanted to get out cheap, so I hooked him up, cleaned up all this hardware, replaced that rotor for him, all that good stuff. That's how it's done.